Well, greetings to all our viewers and listeners. Thank you so much for joining us on this special podcast. It's a beautiful day in Johannesburg, Southern Africa, and it's a bit chilly, but the sun is out, and I guess that's what makes it a perfect day. What exactly is the Big Five construct and why you should be a part of it? A perfect day to talk about very important things in this life. So we're talking about the Big Five Construct Southern Africa. And this is a very big event that will be happening literally in the next few days, come the 27th to the 29th of June, right here at the Gallagher Estate in Midrand. And I'm not alone today to discuss this. I have a very interesting panel that will help me delve deeper into what exactly is the Big Five Construct and why you should be a part of it. Well, let me start off right here on my immediate right with Dr. Julia. Good to have you all on the program today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Good day, a beautiful day indeed. My name is Dr. Julia Petla. I am the founder and managing director of Amedzo Trading and Project. We provide 10 key solutions within the construction industry. So we build superstructures within the mining sector. So anything from ground to rooftop, and we do the finishes, which is the interior. And we also build the roads that you drive on.
Very interesting. All right.
Fabulous. And I'm Mantsikoe Moiloa. I'm the Director of Strategy and Consulting at Broll Property Group. We are a Pan-African business, so providing property solutions to investors and occupiers, private and public sector alike.
Yes, and I am Obakeng Kgethe. I'm responsible for strategy and business development in public sector. So my role really is to position the business, look at growth, develop new relationships, and yeah, that's what I do.
Well, these are definitely big portfolios we're talking about, hence the name, the Big Five. So I guess you have an idea. But let's talk about this. What exactly is it? Why would somebody want to be a part of it? Why would they be attracted to participate in it? What should one expect from the Big Five Construct Southern Africa? This is in its 10th year running, you see. That's big. So let's hear from that.
Oh, well, perhaps I'll just start off with my expectations and why I'm excited to be here. I'm definitely looking forward to a lot of the innovation. I think we're very good as a society at identifying problems or challenges. But really, this is the platform and this is the showcase to meet and greet with all of the innovators and the thinkers that are out there that are saying, let us change convert these challenges into opportunities, and then it's for us to incorporate them into our business so that we are delivering sustainable solutions and forward-thinking ones.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds very innovative.
Look, I maybe first and foremost, I really want to thank Dr. Julia for having made this partnership possible, and especially, of course, DMG Events guys. I mean, to be part of this, this big milestone. Look, we couldn't have been part of this thing at a better time than now. I mean, this is an amazing and a big platform for Broll in terms of position our business. So this has been part of our business development plan, to really position the business. So this platform really, it's really a big opportunity for us, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah, you're speaking to the fact that we did say that the Big Five has been running for 10 years already, but specifically in this 10th year, Broll has partnered with the Big Five. So this is the first time ever for Broll. So it's a new entrant, but with high expectations, obviously, of what will happen. Dr. Julia, can you expatiate on that a bit?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Look, I think as maybe first just to give a background, about 3 years ago, I became an advisory board member at the Big Five. And part of what we look at year on year is fresh ideas, new content, conversations that would help build the construction industry and steer it towards the direction that we want. So this year is great for us because for the very first time we have the real estate corner where we talk all issues around private property matters. And for us, I think the public-private partnership is quite critical. We want to be able to bring in government and the private sector in one room, and we're trying to really, by all means, discourage organizations working in silos. So this is a great platform for us to be,
working together with
working
Broll.
together with Broll, of course.
I guess a big congratulations goes out to Broll Property for being a part of this. So, you know, ordinarily, a person like me who is not really into construction or property, when I hear property construction, I just see a building. But there's a lot of things that come together for that to happen. First and foremost, we have the construction companies, and then we have the commercial real estates, which is where the ordinary person like myself normally would go to. You go to a realtor or an estate agent, you let them know what you're looking for. But how do you marry the two? How do you actually marry them? Maybe Mantsikoe, let me hear from you.
Yeah, so for us it's important, and that's why we also found a lot of value in participating in this year's expo. So traditionally you would find that, you know, construction sort of happens by itself, and then there's a handover period or process, and then it becomes like a management and operational process and problem. And then, you know, it becomes our challenge to realize the investor returns, etc. But I think we've come through a process of deep learning as an industry, and there's an appreciation that, you know, the real estate asset doesn't only sit as a single entity by itself. It sits as part of an ecosystem, both in communities of people, but also in communities of other buildings. And then in addition, there's an importance in the approach around building for management. So for us, it's become a really integral thing, and I think it's become a best practice, particularly from a facilities management perspective, to have that integrated view and have the taking of the brief really be informed by what the future is in terms of management, and that also then flows on to the experience of occupation, because it really is, it's about an experience.
All right. But the collaboration though, sorry, let me just remain there on the collaboration between the construction companies and then the commercial real estate companies. Does it improve the quality then of the outcome of either a construction of a building or the experience that people that want to rent or buy then have if that collaboration is close?
You have to have all the voices in the room right at the beginning and throughout the process. So it's both a partnership from a from a living creation of the product, but also in handover and life of the product and recapitalizing it, etc. in the long term. And that can only be achieved by strengthening the partnerships up front and continuing to co-create and co-innovate together.
All right. Mantsikoe, sorry, still on you, because I'm really enjoying this information. You know, the role of facilities management, which is something that you just touched on there lightly, in the building process, that is. But explain the traditional approach then when it comes to building or the handling of a particular facility.
So traditionally, you would have the building getting built by the developments or the construction team, and then it would get to the handover where you become, handed over to the asset manager or the fund, the investment, the asset owner, and the asset owner would then trust the facilities management team with entrust them with running the operations, whether it's lifts, mechanical, electrical, all of those kind of things, soft and hard services. But that would almost come as a handover pack, and then everybody would go, walk away, and walk away, good luck. And it's really, we've come out of that, and it's such a relief. Because the thing with property is that you're creating, it's a product, and you have to be invested in this thing right from the beginning. So if you want to be able to partake and do it really well, and I think there's a lot of pride in the execution of our mandates. But also when you come into any kind of a shopping center, I think you can see, certainly I can feel when I've arrived at one that is managed by Broll or
Okay, because is it handled more, in a dignified VIP way? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, our concern is really, it is about the property experience, the user experience. And the way that you design your management of it is because you're trying to create an atmosphere of something. You want people to go and say, oh, they felt a certain way when they were there, or particularly safe, let's call that. But it doesn't happen by instances, very much by design.
Oh, wow. Okay, that brings, much more light and information. I do agree with you, though. When you deal with certain companies, there's just, you want to be at Broll because you get that VIP treatment. You feel important. You feel rich. Am I allowed to say that? You feel rich. You go somewhere else, you think, what am I even doing here? Why did I even come here? And I guess that is really important, though, for anybody who wants to then create a business or working relationship with Broll. Now, having said that, we did speak about Broll joining the Big Five construct this year, particularly. But Dr. Julia, I want you to tell us that what really are the reasons behind this collaboration for this particular conference this time around with Broll Property?
Like I said earlier on, for us is about bringing that private aspect, because majority of time we sit with the public sector, and the public sector and private sector are not, they're not in sync. They're working in silos. So we're trying to really come up with this P initiative. So we sit in the same room and we're able, because you can appreciate that the government is a policymaker.
Okay. Yeah.
But Broll on the other side, as a private company, is an implementer on the ground of whatever policies that are implemented by government.
Okay.
So if we sit around the table and have conversations that would assist us to work in sync,
okay,
that really assists in creating the industry that we want to see, the future industry that we want to see. So that P is very important. The conversation that we're going to have, you're talking about, you were asking earlier on about what is it about this facility management? And Mantsikoe was able to elaborate. So you find you're sitting with people who don't really even understand, because they're not on the ground. So when you have this property corner, real estate corner, people are able to interact and be able to get more and they're enlightened just from the discussions alone. The conversations help to build the environment that we want.
Oh, I like that. Well, let me come to Obakeng. Speaking about Broll and this experience that Dr. Julia is actually just explaining to us, what kind of properties, though? I know it's commercial, but what exactly are we looking at when it comes to Broll? So here we have a person who's probably listening to us right now, and they feel they want to have this Broll experience. Sure. What is this experience?
Yeah. So I think if I can answer you in this way. So you look at the whole facilities, the whole Big Five, expo for the past 10 years. The focus has really been on the built environment, right? The construction part of it. But the question now is, so now you build all these big buildings, these skyscrapers. Now the question is, but who's managing them? What goes into the management of those properties? And I think this is where really we come in as experts to really, give a perspective on how the management of those things are done. And really, so I think we really want to drive the conversations around the management aspect of all these big infrastructure that has been developed.
Which is not easy, by the way, because even if you look at a small residential property, just the management of it can be a headache. Now I'm thinking about Broll managing all these commercial big properties that probably house all these big names, and just managing one. And you do it countrywide, or is it like a region?
Across the continent.
Across the continent of Africa.
If you look at Broll, we have a footprint in about 13 African countries all over the country. And really, like she said earlier on, you walk into a property that is managed by Broll and you can really feel a difference. And that's because of the investment of talent and expertise that has been gathered over the year in terms of how to best manage properties, not for the sake of managing them, but also with an intent of creating experience. And that's what has, that's what set Broll apart, from the rest of the players. But also in terms of collaboration, I mean, if you talk about collaboration, Broll is really big at people and relationships, and this collaboration really speaks to, that value that we place on people and relationships. So this collaboration really couldn't have come, at a better time, and we really are embracing it, and we really hope to grow it. And
absolutely. And it actually comes at a time, or should I say in an era, where the world has so many challenges right now. Talk about load shedding in South Africa, for once. And then let's talk about the climate change that obviously is changing a lot of things as well. Just 2-3 years ago, we saw the whole world going through a whole pandemic that also changes the way people look at property management, construction of new innovative properties. It's like we're in a time of change. So Dr. Julia, let me come back to you. Let's talk about the opportunities and the insights within the construction industry. What is the potential for the construction industry to actually tap into like new markets? We have the talk of smart cities. We have the talk of many other new developments apart from what we have seen over the past 10 years when the Big Five construct has been having all these conferences.
Look, I think the biggest driving factor for the past few years has been smart city. I think it's been smart cities really. I mean, we can't. We can't not talk about it because it's the way in which we're moving now. You talk about these changes. Technology is the biggest driver of the direction the construction industry is taking. We're talking alternative building solutions now, and that on its own, just moving away from the conventional method of building, then requires that people in the industry must look at capacitating themselves in terms of technology, new ways of doing things. So we talk about creativity and innovation that Mansi alluded to earlier on. So the massive opportunities in the industry now, especially post COVID-19, because you're trying to find new ways to keep abreast as a country, to say how best can we move beyond the current situation that you're in. So there are massive opportunities in the construction industry in terms of how we need to look at doing things if we're to be able to be sustainable as a nation. Yeah,
that's it. Now, the smart cities talk is a very interesting one. You are in facilities management. Have you ever experienced a smart city?
So I think in South Africa we're trying to sort of get there. There's a lot of blueprints that are happening in designing cities that are both from a greenfields perspective, but I think we also have to deal with the fact that we are in a brownfields environment as well. So there's a lot of retrofitting that needs to happen. We are moving towards a performance culture rather than a specific specification. So we want the buildings to perform a certain way, the environment to work a certain way, and that is based on that. That will then drive what kind of technological solution that it is. There's a lot of also inspiration that is coming internationally. I mean, if you look at the brilliant kind of stuff that is happening in Saudi and in the Middle East in general, I mean, that is a lot of big imagination, big ideas that are being tested live. So, what a time to be alive. In our context, I think we are under pressure because we have immediate needs. We need stable water supply as well as the security of electricity.
Absolutely.
And because of that, there's been an escalation of sorts around those specific type of interventions. However, it doesn't take away from the fact that you still need solutions around responsible waste management and even sort of life cycle management of these other solutions. So you have to then recognize that Dr. Julia is saying, there's opportunity that sits there, but we are so invested in the value that everybody is creating. You also have to be realistic about it and say the only way for you to participate meaningfully in this thing is to partner with players like the Dr. Julius of this world who are playing in that part of the value chain. And then that's how you then will deliver a product that is meaningful to members of the public and users, etc.
Actually, you're touching on a very important point there, because my next question to all of you, actually, because of the experiences that you have and the different portfolios that you manage, was we know that a lot of the data when it comes to the smart cities, tapping into new markets of such, have been more of a demonstration of what we see, like you said, in the Middle East, in Europe, in America. And they have done their research and their models, and it suits them perfectly. But if you look at places like Southern Africa, for example, even just bringing it close to home, South Africa in general, how do you think people will actually respond to that? I'm saying this because,
Sure.
we're an African community.
Yeah.
We believe in...
You have to localize.
Living like that, one village to the next, the other one, but we're all one big family. So
Sure.
how do you think they would actually receive this?
Look, I think if you look at the likes of your Baldwin developments, I mean, that has really changed the landscape of, how we look at property. I mean, with all those lagoons and artificial oceans, or what do you call them, beaches.
Yes.
I mean, that has been well received. They're doing quite well. I mean, if you look at, currently I think they're on their third development, one being Pretoria, Midrand, and one in Johannesburg South.
Yes, with the lake concept.
The lake concept.
Okay.
So if you look at that, that has never been done before. And that has been well received. You look at your waterfall precinct, it's been well received. So I think as Africa, as a continent, I think we are ready. As a continent, we have all the infrastructure, we have the investment, we have the expertise, we have the skills, we have the innovation, we have we have everything that it takes. So I think we are ready. I don't know what you guys think, but
no, absolutely. I think we are. As long as you localize, everything has to always be relevant for the market that it's sitting in. And I think for me, I really believe in involving communities in delivery. So parachuting solutions out of Europe, and then you think you're going to copy and paste, and then we wonder why there's a white elephant that is sitting there.
Sure.
It's because you don't involve, you don't localize. But the opportunities are great because it means that you extend the opportunity to imagine, to be creative, to everybody that is potentially impacted. And of course, the elements around skills development is really, really important, as well as job creation. And we also want to look at sustainable job creation. So we don't just want the jobs where you have in construction jobs only. I think they, the teams, they do a lot in terms of converting a lot of those into then ongoing management or maintenance kind of roles. So what's the point of education if you never get to test it out? I think it's really it's fantastic, and also some of the partnerships that you see between private and public sector in sort of the technical training skills, and giving them people opportunities to practice these things on our varying forms of infrastructure.
All right. Now, okay.
To add on that, and I think this is why, if you look at government now, I think they've come to realization that there is a place to really partner with private sector. And there's now a huge drive of getting collaboration with private sector. I remember at some point there was an argument of whether is it government that provide jobs, is it
yes?
Is it private sector?
The debate is still ongoing, actually. Yeah.
But the truth is, it takes both. One is an enabler, one is a creator or investor. So it really takes both. And we have seen how now suddenly the collaboration is really bearing fruit. Because now you take the likes of your Broll, who in collaboration with government, we're now able to share and transfer skills and expertise into government. One of the biggest problems with government, if you look at their properties now, if you look at the property portfolio in government, most of them have been run down. Why? Because of lack of proper management. But the reason being why, because government are not really expertise of property management.
In those kind of areas.
So now, they now realize that it can only be sustained and efficiently done through collaboration with private sector.
You know what, you actually just spoke about a very interesting point I was actually coming to, because in all these collaborations, there's that keyword, sustainability. That one you can't take away. People need to understand the sustainability of it. Now, in all these collaborations, just like you said, what is the sustainability of the industry in the future going forward?
Look, there's talk of privatization again. I mean, SOEs, there's no other way. And that's my personal opinion, that we need to come to a point where we really start privatizing some of these entities and government departments, because that's the only way they can be sustained through intervention and partnership and collaboration with government, because with private sector, because private sector is the one industry that really has always been sustainable, and that's why you have the likes of Broll, who's been established since 1975 until today. They're still relevant as yesterday.
Well, now, Mansi, let me just quickly ask you, going back again to the facilities management, how is the load shedding treating you in terms of management of these facilities? You know, this is a huge cry, literally a shout.
It's keeping us very busy. I think everybody, it's a challenge that they have if you're invested in property. You have to look at keeping the buildings going. So you're looking at backup power solutions. There's a bit of a shortage at the moment. It was quite long lead times in terms of, due to the spike in demand for those kind of things. So whether you're looking at the solar, the gas, your generator, diesel kind of solutions, and then there's the inputs that they need to be have a steady supply. So we know in winter we're going into the dead of winter shortly, and we know there's always a bit of a squeeze on gas at some point. Those are things that are posing risk to operations of building and stability of businesses. If you think about something like maybe a bank, where they need to be constantly connected to power, because we can't afford for traders or anything like that to go down. Hospital, absolutely, life first. So there's that kind of a problem, but also these things were designed to be backup solutions, not running at 12 hours a day kind of levels. So you're having a ramp up in mechanical failures, repairs and maintenance, but also in the requirement to have the servicing is coming through a lot more frequently. And it's not a absolutely sustainable kind of a position. So very quickly we're having to pivot and then say, what do we do to bring down, to control issues around the demand and load management, but also to then say, how do we deal with the supply aspect and de-risk that? So all of these things are very, very critical. So some of the solutions that we're also looking at here today, but we also have been in a process of then saying, but how are these renewable in and of themselves? And let's not also just think about today's problem, but say, the solar, your batteries, etc. What happens to them when they finish or they're depleted? Where do they go?
That's a huge challenge. But Dr. Julie, that brings me to you now. You are in the construction part of it. So does it mean that now as you construct all these other new buildings or maybe refurbish, whichever way, do you accommodate all these needs that seem to have just, mushroomed up in people's lives because of a challenge that South Africa, it's not even South Africa alone. Africa as a continent, when it comes to energy, it's a huge crisis. So how does construction kind of ease those challenges?
Yeah, we live in very exciting times indeed.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We got to think innovatively in order to address or redress these challenges that we talk about. So there is a big element that we need to incorporate. So if we're starting a building, for as an example now, you got to think the green economy. You got to think.
Does it come with solar panels already there?
Yes, so that's the direction now the industry is taking, and it mustn't now be an afterthought. Now that we know, we almost preparing for it at an invention stage. So at a design stage, you're already incorporating to make sure that we've got an integrated model.
Standard.
It becomes standard.
Okay.
If I can also add, I think there is a global realization that the world is changing. And things are, everything is changing. And we're moving more into technology. So if you look at the problem that we have as a country, is not uniquely South African problem. If you look all over the world, I mean, the Europeans of this world might not be talking about it.
They also have an energy crisis.
They also have energy crisis. And that only speaks to one thing, speaks to change.
Mm. It does.
We really need to start, the world is really changing. There's a new direction the world is taking. And it's a bit painful, but we all have to sort of align
adapt to it. And have the right solutions to it. Okay.
Maybe just to touch on the natural tension that I always giggle about a bit. Because we don't live in a bubble. We are also being, challenged by these interest rates, environment. There's the stuff in Ukraine. Fed is raising interest rates. It's a fabulous time to owe money.
On anything, actually.
Oh, goodness. And part of that is then we're still saying, guys, we're trying to resuscitate the economy, and we want to, firstly stop any further losses, but also reignite it. And part of the green economy is one of the things that is an opportunity for the country to position itself and pivot. But what that also then translates into is our unique demands of the construction space. Mm-hmm. So we will then say, but the occupiers, we want all of these things. We want backup power. We want solar. We want all sorts of, we want utility security. We want it all, but you guys must deliver it cheaper. Because it must be sustainable. And I think that's why it's fabulous that you guys are so invested in looking at, it's not innovation for the sake of innovation, it's also innovation that is optimized. Because, you can say anything is possible, you can ask for anything, and it's all physically possible as long as you have enough money for it. We're saying, no thank you, we love your thinking, but think about how you fix those numbers, please.
And that one is you will hear that more often than not, actually, when you have to improve on all these things and the construction industry. So you have to be prepared for that, Dr. Julia.
Absolutely.
I don't know about you and management. you probably will have a big headache because of that. But we still want to have the Broll experience. You walk in, you feel like your needs are being catered for. So come the 27th to the 29th of June, we are all looking forward to what's going to be happening in South Africa. All roads lead to the Gallagher Estate right here in South Africa in Midrand. Now, so before you go, let me just hear your final remarks to our listeners and our viewers and why they should make sure that they participate, because it's very important. I'll start with you, Obakeng.
I'm saying, like I said, there is change. There's a new direction that the world is taking. And this platform really seeks to inform that, speaks to new innovation, new way of doing things. And when I've been engaging with all the invitees, all the different stakeholders in government, particularly them, I've really been encouraging them to be part of it, to come and join in, because a lot of times government falls behind in terms of changes, innovations. So this is an amazing opportunity for government to really be aligned with the world and the country at large. So this is really, really an exciting times, for us.
Yeah, and absolutely, and it's a safe space to ask questions and interact. I think often when we sit outside of these kind of expo environments, it becomes very difficult to interact, to engage, and just to build relationships, because there's an anxiety around a sense of expectation. But what I love about expos, conferences, etc., is everybody's already open to having a discussion. It's unbinding. It also helps you shape the way that you reshape the way that you look at the challenges or the problems that you think that you might have. So come through. We're here to talk and interact and build the relationships that you need.
Yeah, that's it.
So for me, I think as we look at how best can we reshape the industry post COVID-19, and seeing that it's the month of June, it's Youth Month, I really want to encourage the youth to come in their large numbers.
That's a very profound point
because they are the future leaders, and for them to come and learn. We don't want them to try and reinvent the wheel in the industry. We are industry experts. We want them to come and learn and take advantage of the opportunity that I'm even in my personal capacity extending to them, to say it's a lonely journey in the construction industry, but we don't want them to walk the journey alone. We don't want them to walk in silos. We want to be able to bring them up and mentor them in the industry so that we change it and make it sustainable. We cannot not do it if we don't bring our young future leaders into the space. Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you have been watching and listening, I hope we've tried to answer most of the questions that you might have. But if not, then come through to the Gallagher Estate. This is the 26th? 27th. There we go. The 27th to the 29th of this June. That's just in a few days' time. Come over and have the industry experts help you through, answer your questions, attend to you and make sure that you make the right decisions. I'm sure you all would agree with me that property is good investment. So you need to know what you're doing. Well, thank you so much for watching and listening. It's goodbye for now.